Hello, my name is Dave Tran, and this is Lex TV, shedding its pretty light for the chiropractic student. We have chiropractor Dr. Michael Dibley calling in from Norway. Dr. Michael, welcome to Lex TV.
Thank you, David. I really appreciate the invite.
Yeah, so this is going to be fun. So let's get straight to it. How did you get your start in chiropractic?
How did I get my start in chiropractic? Well, I definitely have to give direct credit to my father, Michael J. Dibley. He went to Palmer. He's a graduate of '83. Also, I have an uncle and a great uncle. My great uncle was in the 1960s. He graduated in Palmer. So we're a big Palmer family. Also, I have a sister that went to Palmer, and my wife went to Palmer.
Oh, wow.
So my start, I guess I would have to credit my uncle Tony Lucas. He's now retired, and has been in active practice over 30 years in Elkhart, Indiana, just about an hour and a half to the east of Chicago. So
Gotcha.
that was my start. I've never been vaccinated. I've been adjusted from the first couple minutes right after the umbilical cord stopped pulsating, and the rest is history. And then I've been living a chiropractic lifestyle ever since.
Yeah, so that's the best way to spread chiropractic is to actually grow chiropractors. So that's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, imagine that thought. Imagine that thought. And I don't know if you know this, but we're right in the middle of wrapping up a documentary film on chiropractic, and we've interviewed chiropractors all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And one of our good friends, Danny Constable, who's in Germany, that might be a good interview for you
Yeah, I would love that.
to do. Yeah, he's from Australia, but in his interview, he talks specifically about that. Imagine how fascinating it would be when you have an unsubluxated child and another unsubluxated child growing up, then recreating and procreating a family, and then again and again and again. Imagine we doing that on a mass level, on a mass scale. I mean, we'd have a completely different world. We'd be living in a completely different world. So that's what I have in my head every day,
Yeah.
as far as what I want to create and what I want to see happen on the planet.
Yeah. I recently just visited Palmer for the first time a couple of weeks ago. And it was an awesome pilgrimage. I got to, see the mansion and, see the Delt House and take a campus tour. So what was it like attending Palmer?
Well, it's interesting. I graduated Palmer 2009, and at that time it was, my father, at that point in time, I knew very little about other chiropractic schools. I had grown up hearing about Fred Barge and Virgil Strang and just the Fountainhead, right? The Fountainhead, Palmer. And my dad encouraged me to go there, and at the time, Guy Reekman was at the helm.
Mm-hmm.
So, we were really excited to be there, really excited to be at Palmer. And then literally, David, right when I started, Guy Reekman, the board had let him go. I should more appropriately say Vicky Palmer, more directly. So anyway, that's what happened, and then now the rest is history. He's been down at Life ever since.
Yeah. Yeah. So you graduated from Palmer. Now, how the heck did you end up in Norway?
Well, okay, so at Palmer, so I started Palmer, it must have been like 2005, end of 2004. And so I'm in the chemistry class, just finishing up my prerequisites, about to start Palmer in a couple months, and I see this beautiful woman in my chemistry lab, and she has fur boots on, she has the most beautiful eyes I've ever seen, she has a walk that I've never seen before. Let's just say I knew she wasn't from Chicago. So I was immediately interested, and then so anyway, long story short, we own property out there at Palmer, and we have a student house right next to the rugby house. And so I said, listen, and I love to cook, and I had dogs at the time. I said, come on over, I'll cook you a meal, and the rest is history, basically, and I've been with Katrina Val ever since. So that's how we met. We met at Palmer, and she was turned on to chiropractic through her father. She was going to be a medical doctor, and her father said, why don't you try chiropractic? And so she did, and it really resonated with her. And yeah, that's how I met her. That's how I ended up in Norway. She's 100% Norwegian. She's from the town we live in now. It's the oldest town in Norway, right on the Oslo Fjord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now with you kind of growing up in chiropractic and now kind of starting your own family in chiropractic in Norway, what have been the same or the differences between starting a practice in Norway versus kind of being in chiropractic in the United States?
Well, I practiced with my father and my uncle right when I graduated for about 6 months in America. Mm-hmm. And I would say, bar none, the largest difference is the size of people. Okay, so the size of your clients. just sheer physical size.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the amount of medications that they're on. I mean,
Yeah.
here in Norway, prescription drug usage is relatively low, especially in consideration of the rest of the Western world. So I would say it's, how would I say, it's easier. I'd say it resonates with the public on a greater level. In other words, like my practice members, when I say, hey, make sure you go for a run today, make sure you go for a walk, make sure you get your exercise in a couple times a week, 3 times a week, they're already doing all that. So I would say patient compliance, practice member compliance is much easier in that respect. The challenge is the Norwegian chiropractors kind of screwed it up the same way the American chiropractors screwed it up in regards to making it about musculoskeletal, about pain-based. So we kind of have to take most people out of that model, because most people think it's just for pain, back pain, that sort of thing. And you have to take them from that to it's about your life. And you know what? That resonates. That resonates with people. When you tell people the truth, it tends to resonate. Hence the name of this program, Lux, bringing light to the people. And that's what chiropractic's all about, is bringing the light back to the people, bringing the truth back to the people.
Yeah, and it seems like you've been able to grow a awesome practice, and then be able to hire so many people in there. And actually, 3 of my friends are actually working with you right now.
Yeah, I know. It's a small world.
Yeah. So what kind of qualities are you looking for a chiropractor when you hire someone from out of Norway and want them to come work for you in Norway?
The number one thing, when you had sent me the questions ahead of time, at least that question, I thought about that, and immediately, what came to my mind immediately? One word: confidence. Certainty. Listen, I'm not looking for someone to be, and I have those too. On our team, we have a lot of amazing docs, a lot of amazing chiropractors, and we're well versed. In fact, I have this, it's handy right here. I have one that wrote Straight Chiropractic Textbook, Dr. Jonathan Verderame.
Yeah.
I mean,
I literally just bought that book. I literally just bought that book when I visited. I literally just bought that book the other day.
Did you?
I visited.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Hey, so anyway, not to get too off track, but when you contacted me, it was really interesting because you were making those beautiful posters for your mission trip down in El Salvador, is it?
Yeah. Correct.
Right, exactly. And I was just getting done with a speaking tour with Dr. Bradley Roush, who's our consultant for 360.
Yeah.
And in the UK. And I was like, well, shoot, because I've seen some of your interviews, and I should have sent you a 360 shirt so we both could have had those. Because I noticed you, like with Swordlick, you had a black and and some other ones you were wearing their gear. But I'll send you one either way.
Oh, awesome.
But back to your question. So what I'm looking for, and what we're looking for as a group, and that's really the main thing as a team, because that's what I've seen is number one fault in chiropractic is a lot of educated mind. We kind of denounce the educated mind in chiropractic. And the educated mind has really, in a lot of ways, led to our demise. I mean, you can really stop and think that 2, 5, whatever the number is, point is not enough of the population sees a chiropractor on a regular basis. Some countries don't even have chiropractic, as you know. And you got to ask yourself, why is that? Well, it's because we can't get together in a group. We can't get together and form an alliance and form a real group and really get behind subluxation and just agree on that and say, God bless, listen. If you want to do the best technique or 360 technique or Gonstead, God bless, that's no problem. We just have to agree on that one thing, subvertebral subluxation. But what I'm looking for is absolute certainty in an associate, a greater sense of service for humanity. That's the toughest thing, I'll be really honest with you, is the newer generation, and I'm a part of that as well. I was raised in a household where work ethic was really at the center of it. And I really find that certainty plus really a strong work ethic, really a vision for service, really a vision to take chiropractic to places it's never been before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, because I'm sure a lot of people in their mind would love to, travel and, serve abroad, but then sometimes I just think that people don't really take an inventory to see what it takes because you're definitely away from home, and I spent some time in Africa with. Yeah. Yeah, and and halfway through I was like, what did I get myself into? So it definitely takes. Certainty because I definitely had to look back and say think of the why that I was there and stuff like that. So yeah, I completely agree with that for sure. Yeah, and then I just saw that you traveled throughout Europe. I think in the UK and visited some schools as well too.
Yeah. Bradley Roush and myself, we were at McTimoney
Mm-hmm.
in Abingdon, just outside Oxford, and then we also went down. We were invited down to AECC, the Anglo-European Chiropractic College.
Yeah.
Down in Bournemouth, it's on the south coast.
Yeah.
What a turnout from both schools. What a response. I mean, it is literally, David, like going into a desert, and they haven't had water for a long time. I mean, these are amazing human beings that just have never – listen, even at AECC, listen to this. This may blow you away. They don't say adjustment, they say treatment, and in fact, adjustment's kind of like a foreign word. Subluxation, God forbid, that's totally out. So it's a they're calling it a spinal lesion or something like this. So again, why is our public, like I said in my lecture, at one of them, I said, if I was one of the top dentists in the world, and you guys were all dental students, I don't think I'd be coming here talking about the validity of cavities. Sure. And you know what I mean? You dig that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's the thing with chiropractic. It's like we're still talking about subluxation? I mean, seriously? I mean, we should be talking about how to get chiropractic in every corner of the globe, how to create more schools. I mean, what we're talking about in chiropractic has been talked about for 100 years, and it's time to change the conversation up and change the consciousness up of the chiropractic profession.
Yeah. So thank you for kind of reaching out to those schools, because sometimes it takes a lot of time and energy to do that. So and I'm sure all the students definitely appreciated that for sure.
Yeah. The response was incredible, and those guys, it was just beautiful to connect with them. So we'll be going down on a consistent basis, and we're open, and this is just we're a very open clinic system. We have 3 locations in Norway, and we have students all the time, we have doctors all the time, we have visitors to our clinics all the time to observe and to follow us during our rounds. And you know what? This is exactly what I told them, and like I tell any school I lecture at, you're welcome anytime. Just let me know. You're welcome anytime. And I told them, too, that's the mark of a true chiropractor. I mean, the chiropractor that does this, the suppression thing, is that not indicative of subluxation? A chiropractor who's expressive and open, isn't that indicative of someone that wants to grow the profession? And that's biology. That's nature.
Exactly. Yeah, that's definitely spun on. Yeah, I love visiting chiropractic offices, but yeah, there's plenty of times where I've called to do a tour, and then they were like, so why do you want to come? And then I was like, well, because I want to learn. And then, or it's I asked for a tour instead of saying, to stay, because sometimes it leaves the door open for the chiropractor, if they're busy or not busy, to either invite me in to sit down or maybe have lunch or something like that, or show me around. But I've literally had tours where they go, oh, well, you want a tour? So then I walk in, they show me around, they go, yeah, this is the supply closet, this is the bathroom. All right, thanks for coming by.
Yeah, see, that's to me, it's like, how do you expect to grow a profession if you cannot show students, and we're all students of life to certain degrees, but if you can't show students, formal students, right, in university, if you can't show them a successful model of practice, if you found a successful model of practice in your area, I think it would be your moral obligation to share that with the next generation coming up. And if you're a real chiropractor, you should be able to be in the capacity to either grow the one practice you have to a large level, or start other offices with these new graduates so they no longer have to go to the banks and be in debt and have chains around their ankles. We need to set them free. That's the whole thing. When I got into chiropractic formally, I realized what happened to this profession of liberation, right? What happened to liberating people? And what we do is with our new graduates is, it's like slave labor. It's ridiculous. And we expect, and we talk about thriving. It's ridiculous. It's totally contradictive. Yeah.
And then it really is an art to be able to serve people, which is kind of like the technician part of it. But it's also a greater strategy and skill level to be able to manage, or even to inspire, to create a vision with other people. And that's one of the things that the medical profession has the curriculum set, where medical students aren't very concerned, but they are concerned about where they end up, because there is a structure set up where they can find a job. They can go work for a hospital, and I think it would be great to have a chiropractic hospital, or like a center or something like that, where everybody can go and start serving people, kind of like the DJ Palmer clinics, because people just were just serving so many people that they needed tons and tons of help. So I definitely would love to see that. And speaking of which,
Yeah.
what would be your greatest wish for chiropractic? And like you may have alluded to it already.
So for the profession at large?
Yeah.
For the profession at large, you know, in the whole entire chiropractic universe, one verse, one song, one tone, back to DD, back to quantum mechanics, quantum physics, I would really appreciate that we pull our heads out of our sigmoid colon and agree that subluxation is the most beautiful, elegant term for a misalignment in the spine. And then, like I said earlier, yeah, I did allude to it, if you want to do this, listen, it's an established technique because it has validity. I mean, I feel like we're at such a rudimentary level of discussion in chiropractic. We should be talking about how we're going to reach every corner of the globe, not does subluxation exist. Back to the cavity example. It's like sub, below, lux, light, Asian state of. Well, now we know that the mental impulse travels at the speed of light. If we have a twist or a misalignment, a subluxation, no longer are you transmitting the light. What's more elegant and eloquent than that to describe what it is we're doing as chiropractors? It's not voodoo. It's absolutely beautiful. And I think that's really where we need to be. If we can get behind that, I mean, at the end of the day, the impact that we're having as a chiropractic profession is quite simply not good enough.
Exactly.
Not good enough. And I'm so sick of the etching God out. The egos in chiropractic is what's got to go.
Exactly. You know, and then on the flip side, there is a huge market. so you know, just graduate, pass your boards, and then and there's, you know, 97% or 95% of the population is ready to get under chiropractic care. So this should be a easy free throw.
Yeah. I mean, in that regard, absolutely. From a business standpoint and from a practice standpoint, absolutely. But just from a moral obligation standpoint, we can do so much more. We should be doing so much more if we're going to follow truly the tenets of chiropractic and the philosophy of chiropractic and to really share it with the world. I mean, I don't think Michelangelo would be making fun of Da Vinci, and I don't think Da Vinci would be making fun of Michelangelo. You understand? And that's what I see in chiropractic all the time. I see these little babies complaining about this and that and this and that, and it's like, you know, we should all have the same goal in mind, to reach the world with chiropractic. To like Dr. Schiffman, you know, we interviewed him down in the IFCO Global Summit, I think 3-4 weeks ago. We were down in Miami. And, you know, I love his message. It's so eloquent and so simple. Reach the world with chiropractic. That's what we should all be striving to do. And through whatever medium possible, through media, through like what we're doing right now, you know, any way possible. And it's easier than ever. Everybody can, you know, reach the world with chiropractic pretty easy. We all have computers now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So lastly, what would be your greatest advice for students?
My greatest advice for students, formal students in chiropractic school, would be use all your extra, quote unquote, extra time to do what I've seen that you've done, David, is travel around, go visit those people that are in the chiropractic profession in active practice. Go, even if it's somebody that really initially doesn't resonate with you, you need to go to that office to make sure and to really have a formed, a really solid opinion. So my strongest piece of advice would be go to every seminar possible, go to everybody that resonates and doesn't resonate with you. So use all your extra time to go to seminars, use all your extra time to visit with chiropractors and talk chiropractic. And also, I would say, whatever type of tribe that you have, if it's 2 people, if it's 3, if it's 10, if it's 20, I would practice speaking to those people every week. So by the time you graduate school or you're an intern in your clinic, it just rolls off the tongue. You know, chiropractic, I mean, is so very simple. I mean, everybody should have a 30-second airport lecture or an airport chiropractic talk. I mean, in order for that to be autopiloted, you have to practice it. So that would be my 2 big pieces of advice for chiropractic students in general. And, you know, be truth seekers. Be truth seekers. That would be at the core of all that.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dr. Michael, for sharing your light with us today. If you want more information or want to connect with Dr. Michael directly, check out the links below. Every week I will be uploading a new interview with another leader in the chiropractic profession. If you like this video, please share it with your classmate, give this video a thumbs up, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. My name is Dave Tran, and this was Lex TV, shedding and spreading light for the chiropractic profession.